Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I want to start with this. This is last night. This was interesting. The U.S. debt clock, which is usdebtclock.org, secret window notification message. It was a new seal. It was right across the front of their website. Out of nowhere, just so you know, out of nowhere, this thing's been sitting here for, I think, over a decade. I remember looking at this back after the financial crisis, I want to say. But it says the U.S. debt clock secret window reopens tonight, 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern time. All right. So this morning I went and decided to check it. Okay. And here it is. When you click on the open the secret window, this is what pops up. If you have faith as a grain of a mustard seed, it's got a man and a woman. And then in the middle, it's got a sun and it's got an X, and that looks like a North Star right there. Then it's got a grayed out US with a mountain, and then it's got USA with an American flag, and another sun with an X and a North Star right there. Nothing shall be impossible unto you. Fascinating stuff. I don't know those of you that followed all the Bearable Guy stuff back in the day, but there was a North Star on that window seal on the side, on the right side. I never really talked about all that, but I remember it. Dutch central banks admit it has prepared for a new gold standard. So has the digital asset investor. I bought one of these. This is a 1 ounce American Buffalo I did it Friday, I believe, from my sponsor, Miles Franklin Precious Metals. I gave them code DAI Gold. I called them at 952-929-7006, or you can email them at info@milesfranklin.com for the best pricing, and all that information is in the description of this video. A little reminder against that backdrop of what Jim Rickards said back in the day.
This crisis hits. We're going to see this here in the U.S. and around the world. And it'll be a highly coordinated global attack on the entire system simultaneously.
How could these operatives actually freeze a whole country's financial system?
Well, fortunately, we have some recent real-life examples to study. The elites have been conducting a series of dry runs for years, leading up to ICE 9s. Now pay attention, because this is precisely what they're going to do. More specifically, the IMF froze the entire system, literally every bank in the country. And they did that to ensure the IMF's demands were met, including strict capital controls. So how did all of this impact regular citizens? Their local ATMs went dark. Even the bank branch was closed, permanently in some cases. Citizens could not withdraw cash. They couldn't even transfer funds from one account to the other. What came next? Wealth extraction on a grand scale. The IMF basically stole 6 to 10% of all the cash in the Cypriot bank accounts. How did the elites justify this? They called it a levy, the price regular citizens had to pay for their government's missteps. Keep in mind, these asset confiscations were done at the balance sheet level with the institutions themselves. They never had to confiscate individual accounts. They froze every account by controlling a handful of the country's biggest banks.
That's called a bail-in. They shaved off a percentage of the Cypriot, I think I'm saying that right, Cypriot citizens' bank accounts. True story. It's almost like it was a trial run. Now, let me tell you what, folks. This Raoul Pal in this clip right here, he knocks it out of the park. This is what he says here is what is the theme of my channel since May 2018 when I started this. He is directly over the target. You need to play it, maybe play it 3 or 4 times.
To communicate it. I've gone out a lot to say, don't fuck this up. Buy and hold, don't use leverage, use cold storage, do the right thing, don't get too speculative, don't FOMO, just don't fuck this up. This is the biggest opportunity we've ever been given. I've said that all the way from 2020 onwards, and in fact, I said it all the way back in 2012. It's the biggest macro trade of all time. Don't fuck this up. And if you're not a crypto person, technology, is one of the biggest opportunities we've ever been given, the exponential age. Again, don't fuck this up. Just be careful. Just buy, hold, have a long-term time horizon, and learn how to take pain. And when there is pain, you buy more. Unless something changes the thesis that suddenly we're all going to turn to Neanderthals and nobody's going to use technology ever again, it is going up. It's as simple as that. And unless something changes that we're not breaking the financial system and that the internet has disappeared, we will go to blockchain technology. It's as simple as that. That's all you need to know. Everything else is just fucking noise.
And he said, don't F this up. That's the same thing that my brother-in-law said to me right before I walked down the aisle. True story. So maybe that needs to be the thumbnail today. But the probably the most important thing he said the whole thing was important. But what I've been doing, I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't tell you what to do. But what I've been doing is every time that I was telling somebody on the phone this morning, the sentiment, it feels like it's at the very bottom level right now. Those are the and I told this person, I said, those are the times that I really get into buying. Psychologically, most people think the opposite way, but those people will never have a lot of wealth. Blood in the streets. Blood, not just blood in the streets, but blood in the minds of your average investor out there. That when everybody is at their lowest point, my experience is that's when I've done the best, by buying into those things. And it may take a little while after I make that buy, but that's when it happens. All right. Then here's these guys from Black Swan Capitalists. They're right over the target. It's been this way since I got in this space. Since 2013, XLM has always traded in conjunction with XRP. Watch this.
They do move in unison to some degree. There is something very interesting happening over there.
Absolutely. So we actually have a high-ranking executive from XRP in our community. And we gave him some time, and I can't name him, but in the know, very well in the know. And he was saying, in terms of how he sees it pan out, and he's been privy to conversations. He was saying that it'll almost be Coca-Cola and Pepsi, XLM and XRP. In other words, they're going to be fulfilling the same function: sugary water with caffeine. And in the same way, utility in terms of central banks. And he mentioned that one or two of the Middle Eastern players.
Folks, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say it better than that about XRP and XLM. That describes it better than anything. But this is something you may not know. I don't know how they talk about this in other parts of the world, but Coca-Cola was literally created very close to me. Okay. Coca-Cola was created in the state of Georgia, where I live, and up in Atlanta is where they created that marketing machine. It's probably the greatest marketing machine in the history of the world. What are the chances that I could turn out to be the digital asset investor who talks about the greatest digital asset ever created? All happens in the same state. How about them apples? Now, so yeah, but guess what? I don't know if this is known around the world, but here in the South, we don't call it Coca-Cola. It's called Coke. And by coincidence, when Coca-Cola was first invented, the reason it's called that is because it had cocaine in it when they first created it. True story. Look it up. But in this part of the country, we don't call it Coca-Cola. We call it Coke. And we sure as hell don't call it soda like they do up north. Okay. Now, and then there's this. These events never make it to the mainstream, yet people say XRP and XLM are mainstream. Clearly, Ripple and Stellar are not going away. Largest players in the game, including the DTCC and NO mainstream media coverage, LOL, right here. Join the conversation around asset tokenization. Look here, it says, according to the analyst at consulting firm Roland Berger, asset tokenization will grow to become a market worth at least $10 trillion by 2030. representing a 40-fold increase in the value of tokenized assets from 2022 to 2030. This would mark a significant rise from the current value of around $300 billion. Join the conversation around asset tokenization. Here, join industry titans BlackRock, DTCC, State Street, Societe Generale, Hedera, Citi, Northern Trust, Amazon. Notice the ones that they don't mention. It's the FinTech Deal Day, Future of Digital Assets. What did they not mention? There's Brendan Berry, head of payments products at Ripple. They forgot to mention them. Look, Ripple. Look, Stellar. Tron's even there. And who do you have mixed in? DTCC, AWS, American Express. There it is. All right, now, all we've heard going around this morning is about Sam Altman, and he has now been hired at Microsoft. Here's what Elon Musk had to say about it.
Microsoft actually may be more in control than, say, the leadership team at OpenAI realizes. Microsoft, as part of the Microsoft investment, they have rights to all of the software, all of the model weights, and everything necessary to run the inference system.
Satya Nadella responded to CNBC saying that's factually not correct, noting that Microsoft has a non-controlling interest, but that unusual deal structure behind the $10 billion investment essentially allowed Microsoft to bypass an antitrust review process, also receive a large profit share and an exclusive license, and a powerful engine, of course, to go head-to-head with Google, which had the lead in generative AI, which brings up this decade-old question in tech: will the big players ultimately eat the lunch of the incumbents? We've seen it time and time again. One venture capitalist put it this way to me this morning. He said the problem with the space is that it's really expensive to play. You could build a website back in the 90s pretty easily and just play, but you can't really do that in this space unless you have billions of dollars, at least not until costs come all the way down. And he's referring, guys, to cloud or computing costs to run generative AI models like ChatGPT and Bard, which are very, very expensive.
Okay, I was looking at something. And then, folks, make no mistake. When you hear about AI, you better be thinking about crypto too, because this is all connected. There's a reason that Janet Yellen is being asked about it.
I wanted to start with that meeting and what your impressions were going into it, but also what your impressions were really coming out of it.
Well, clearly this was an opportunity for President Biden and President Xi to deepen their communication, to try to make some concrete progress on things we can work on together. Coming out of the bilat, there was an important agreement concerning working on fentanyl, which is killing 100,000 Americans a year.
Basically,
and
she's going to tell you a bunch of nothing, since she's nothing but an academic and someone who's been in a school and government building her whole life, never had any real world experience. So it's going to be more mumbo jumbo that she's learned in a classroom. Then they're going to hire Jay Clayton, who should be under investigation, but instead is on the payroll at CNBC. And they need him to weigh in on OpenAI
We've now watched this exodus take place. There's also a lawsuit that may get filed as early as today that Elon Musk has described as going against Media Matters, which put out this report. What's your initial reaction to all of it?
Andrew, my initial reaction is we as a country, we as a society are struggling with the marketplace for ideas. The marketplace for ideas is a uniquely American experiment. It's one that has worked incredibly well. But right now, with technology, platforms, and even AI that we've been talking about, it's under stress. We see what happened with Musk and the pulling of advertising. We've seen what's happened on college campuses. And let's not forget, we have a case going through the Supreme Court this term where administration officials were found to have improperly influenced social media platforms. We are struggling with all this. And add to that the question of preferred speech versus speech that's out of bounds.
Right. So, Jay, though, but this is the part that, and this is why, and I raised this issue with you last time we talked, and it's the thing that I can't understand. The last time we talked on the broadcast, you came on and we talked about anti-Semitism on university campuses. those that were talking about genocide to the Jews, other kinds of hate speech, other kinds of speech that was even, I would say, considered unattractive speech. And I think that you, as your colleague and probably boss Mark Rowan would say, it's a very problematic speech, specifically at a time like now, where Israel was attacked by Hamas. And you spoke out very...
All right, I'm not going to get into all of that. But what I want to stay focused on is this AI thing. Remember, folks, the second Gary Gensler lost the case against Ripple, the first thing he did was pivoted to AI. Okay? AI and crypto are going to be intertwined. That's the whole point. Now, all we've been hearing, if you look on X, Sam Altman, AI, he's going to Microsoft. We just got done talking about XRP and XLM being Pepsi and Coke. In my opinion, Coke is 1,000 times better, so it should be Coke Pepsi and XRP being the Coke. Okay? Now, all we've heard about Sam Altman. Well, Sam Altman is tied into this crypto that we're always talking about, okay? In my private group, I'm going to show you, because many of you either I haven't shown some of this, but I'm going to show you how Sam Altman is tied to all this stuff, folks. Sam Altman is involved in all of this, and it's very interesting how he ties in to the whole XRP XLM thing, okay? So, in my private group, we're going to talk about that now. That's daixrp.com, and we will go over all of the above, okay? I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family that here we go. daixrp.com.